they want us to solve this system of equations by augmented matrices. So the first thing we're going to do is turn them into a matrix. And the way we do that is we take our coefficients. There's our coefficient matrix. And then this is what makes it augmented, is that bar right there, and we write it. So now that's called an augmented matrix. And now what we're going to do is one by one we're going to turn this side right here. We're going to make that thing look like we're going to make that look like 1, 0, 0, 1, like that, and then whatever's here and here, I should have done it like that. Whatever's in these two spots right here are going to be your answers for x and y. So that's our goal. So the first thing we do, let me erase all that. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn, and this is what the book suggests. There's a couple ways you can do this, but we're going to turn this one into a 0. And actually, no, bad idea. The best thing to do first is just to switch these two, because this is already a 1, and I want that to be in that top spot. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch them. 1, -7, 18, 10, -3, 46. Because now all I have to do to turn this one right here into a 0, I want that to be a 0, is I have to multiply the first equation by -10 and add it to the second equation. So I'm going to multiply 1 by -10. I'm trying to do it how your book does it. Your book says let's see. How does your book do it? Your book puts the line right here, so you know you're switching this row. And it says, what does it say? It says M1, so you're multiplying the first one by 1, and you're adding no, I'm multiplying the first one by -10. That's what I'm doing. I'm multiplying the first by -10. Forget the book. I'm going to do it the way I do it. So here's how I do it, and this is the way most people are taught. We'll call these 1 and 2, row 1 and 2 with Roman numerals. So what I do is I say -10 times row 1 plus row 2. That's what's going to give me my next row. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So notice this top row doesn't change, so I'll use the same color. It's still 1, -7, and 18. But the bottom row is going to change because I'm going to multiply everything up here. So I'll just write it in, times -10 times -10. So this turns into a 0. This turns into 70 minus 3 is
67.
Positive 67. -180 plus 46 is
-134.
Good. Okay, now the next step is to turn this one right here into 0, which is easy. So now I'm going to see how easy this is. I'm going to divide row 2 by 67. See how I did that? Mm-hmm. So that's going to give us 0, 1, -2. And the top row stays the same, so again I'll use the red. 1, -7, 18. So I have my y value right there. There's y. Y is -2. And now I turn this thing into a 0. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this row right here, we're going to turn this into a 0. And so I'm putting the arrow up here, and I'm multiplying row 2 by what?
7.
Positive 7. And I'm adding it to row 1, and that's going to be my new row 1. So this turns into 0. This was still 0, 1, -2. Those don't change. If I multiply this by 7, I get -14 plus 18 is
-4.
positive 4.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
And this is still 1. See how this didn't change? Because that was 0, so you're not really changing anything by multiplying that and adding it back up to here. That's why they always have you start on the bottom row and work your way to the right and then work your way back up and to the left.
So, like, once you're done with the bottom row, if you, like, do something to it, you don't actually have to change it. You just, like...
No, because what am I changing? See how I'm drawing the arrow here? I'm not changing the bottom row, I'm changing the top row by adding a multiple of the bottom row to
It's
it.
still the same equation.
That's right, because what I'm doing is I'm taking this equation, this represents an equation, and I'm adding the same thing to both sides. This is the left side of the equation, this is the right side, which are equal to each other. And so I'm adding those to the, I'm adding it. It's kind of like taking 1/2 and multiplying it by 2 over 2. 2 over 2 is the same as 1, so you're not changing anything. You're keeping it balanced. So I'm keeping it balanced, and there are my answers. X equals 4, Y equals -2.
That makes so much more
And then you can
sense.
check, of course, your answer.